Oh, there we go.
All right. I think we're live now. Hello, everyone. How are you guys? Um, all right. So we're gonna get started. You guys have to bear with me with the technology because I'm not the most savvy, and this is the first time using this software. So I'm trying to figure it out as I'm on here. But let's do this. Yeah, so I'm so excited to be with you guys today. I have Daniel here with me. Um, Daniel is actually one of the best in the industry to discuss what we're going to be talking about today. So that makes me super excited. And today's webinar is about new owner operators and helping you guys when it comes to saving 15,000 to 45,000 in startup trucking costs. So make sure that you guys stay tuned to the end because we're going to add a lot of value and actionable steps that you guys could take away. Okay. So while I have you guys here, I also want to make sure that the comment section is working. If you guys could just let me know where you're from by putting your city and state, and that'll let me know that the comment section is working. Let's see. I don't see anything in the comments yet.
Hold on.
Okay.
Your view. Are you looking at private chat or comments?
No, I'm actually looking at. I'm starting to see some people.
Okay,
Okay. All right. We have some people from South Carolina.
there we go.
All right. Awesome. And then we have Gail from Dallas, Texas. Awesome. All right.
Cool,
Okay.
cool.
Okay. Cool. So let's get started. Hold on here. Daniel, do you want to say anything before we get started?
Uh, I could just say, hey, I'm Daniel Summers, insurance agent. Been playing around in trucking for 6 years now. Yeah, right. 6 years this month actually. Um, have done a lot from new ventures up to small mid-sized fleets. Um, ran a trucking company myself just to learn more about how operations work within a trucking company. Had 5 trucks on the road at one point. Literally didn't even never intended to get to that many, which isn't a ton, right? But I wanted to start a trucking company literally just to experience what everyone goes through, so I could do better with the insurance side of things. Ended up doing that for like 2 years, and then things got to be too much on the insurance side, so I had to shut it down. But yeah, a lot of my experience comes from that, and just diving into this head first, and learn how to drink from the fire hose. So yeah, yep, that's me in a nutshell.
So as you guys heard, he like not only has is he an insurance agent, but he's actually had a truck insurance like a trucking company before. So as I mentioned, we got the best guy here on our show today. So a little bit more about us. Daniel actually has built about 19,000 followers on his YouTube channel. Combined, we have 20,000 followers. So he has so many subscribers because he's just dropping so much value. So one of the things I'm going to ask you guys to do is if you can follow, like, and subscribe to his channel, um, and support us.
Yeah, appreciate that. There's a lot to learn on the insurance side. It's really important. I'll just kind of preface that. The more you know about insurance, starting up a trucking company, growing one, all of that, like it'll save you a lot of headache and a lot of money, which is probably the main reason why you're watching this. Like, saving money is super important, but the headache and like there's a few reasons why trucking companies go out of business. Cash flow and insurance problems are two of the biggest. Like maintenance and truck breakdown, all that's another big one. But insurance can put you out of business faster than anything. So it's good to understand how it works and know what options you have more than anything.
For sure, for sure. So, just a little bit more about me. My name is Jamie. I am the lead compliance specialist at DOT Compliance Management. I too am a licensed insurance agent for over 10 years now. I actually enjoy helping new owner operators when it comes to growing or launching, growing, and scaling their trucking business. And I really try to focus on helping them launch in a safe and economical way. One of my most recent achievements is that I just recently helped a new owner operator scale from 1 to 5 trucks within 7 months. So I'm very proud of that.
It's good. It's tough. It's really tough.
That is tough. And then again, as Daniel already mentioned, he's a licensed insurance agent with Charles String Insurance Agency. He's helped truckers since 2018. And then he works with both new owner operators and established truckers, and insured over 2,000 clients thus far.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to talk about who this webinar is for. So this webinar is really for new owner operators that are looking to get into the trucking business, someone who's starting a trucking business, but you're feeling overwhelmed or confused, and you're just simply afraid of making any costly mistakes. So DOT compliance management, we really exist to help both the smaller and larger fleet. But today we're going to focus on the newer trucks, the newer owner operators, and really trying to get them into the business. And both new ventures and established truckers, they both have their challenges, but we found it more fit to really help the new owner operators because we see the challenge. Like, there's such a huge challenge when it comes to getting in and finding brokers and shippers and all these different things. So we really wanted to focus in on the new owner operators and helping you guys with getting into the industry. Anything else you wanted to add, Daniel?
No, keep on going. This is good. Yeah.
So I'm going to actually go over this slide really quick. What new owner operators are currently facing. So what I did is I actually added 2 Facebook posts. These are from different groups. And so if we read the first line here on the one to the left, it says, "Greetings, everyone. I have a new authority and no one will hire me." They currently have Geico Insurance, but they're saying, "Would any of you be willing to work with a new authority?" And then if we look to the post to the right, it's saying, "I am having trouble finding any loads that are worth taking on, that are worth taking on any load board." Let's see, what else do they say? I have done some local loads by knocking on doors, etc. But other than that, I am struggling bad because of my new authority, now at 32 days active. Please, any advice will help because it's hard paying $1,500 in insurance plus other expenses and barely making it to be able to even break even. Daniel, I'm going to let you share what you experience on a daily because we both get the phone calls on a daily.
So, I mean, it used to be easier to just get a new authority up and running, go active, and hit the load boards. Like, you'd run into some brokers that wouldn't accept you because you're brand new, right? But ever since COVID and we had this spike in the freight market, spike in new entrants, and then since the middle of 22, it's come down. There's been a lot of mega carriers leaving the market. Everyone from owner ops to the biggest trucking companies there's been a lot of exit, right? And because of that, before that, the surplus of trucking companies made it easy for the brokers to tighten up their requirements of the trucking companies, right? Like, if they tighten up their requirements, then they think that makes it easier for them to get the best truckers, right? So yeah, there's a lot of brokers out there that aren't going to touch you or book freight with you until you've been in business, 30, 60, 90, 180 days, 6 months. So yeah, it's important to plan ahead. And these messages you see here, like, these are a dime a dozen in the Facebook groups. I see this all the time. We get people that want to just jump straight in, don't have a plan for freight. It's just going to be straight off the load boards, no direct freight, no contracts, nothing. And the brokers are like, nope. So it's really important to have a plan, and we're going to talk more about that.
Awesome. Have you experienced anything when it comes to like someone getting insurance within those first few, like 3 to 6 months, and then having to cancel due to not having that plan in place?
Yeah. Yep. Big time. It's just a whole nother reason, right? So you might be able to find a book or book a load going from A to B, but then trying to get back B to A, you're sitting because no one wants to book a load with you. And you can only sit so long, right? And it keeps happening. And before you know it, cash flow is negative, having to close up shop.
Yep. And so same thing with us. So we started off as an insurance agency, and we decided to transition or add a division of consulting and compliance only because there was just a ridiculous amount of clients that would get started with us. And then within the first 3 to 6 months, they're canceling their policies only because they're unable to pay for insurance or they're facing the challenges that we're going to talk about today. And so, and pretty much when you ask what happened, it's because there was no game plan in place, right? So that's why we started this division, and that's kind of why we exist as well. So we actually take a new approach when it comes to new owner operators, and we pretty much want to understand holistically what are you trying to achieve and how are you going to achieve it. And the reason why we ask those two questions, we're going to go to the next slide. I just lost my place. Hold on.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you should be able to answer these two main questions, right? Number one, where are you going to be getting your loads from? And number two, how much is your insurance how much is your truck and insurance going to cost you within the first 6 months of operations? Typically, if I ask this question and you're not able to answer it or articulate, answer the question, then typically it's not the best sign, right? You guys need to be able to answer where are you guys going to be getting your loads from and how much is your truck insurance payment going to cost you? Also, your truck going to cost you for the first 6 months in operation. Why is this so important for us to be able to answer those two questions? We're going to do a little math problem. So you guys can understand the math that is not happening and the math that you guys need to start doing as new owner operators before you get started. All right, and I'm just going to use a basic example. We're going to start with a truck payment. Let's say your truck payment is $3,000, right? And we multiply that for the first 6 months. We're looking at $18,000 for your first 6 months in operation. And then if we look at your insurance payment, on average, let's say your insurance payment is $1,500 a month. It could be a little more, it could be a little less. It depends on your state and your type of operation. Basic example. And we multiply that $1,500 times 6. You're looking at $9,000 that you spent in insurance, and $18,000 you paid towards a truck payment. So $18,000 plus the $9,000, we're looking at $27,000 in fixed expense.
Yep.
And this is what we do not want to happen, right? I mean, it's okay if you can answer those two questions, but if not, then we don't want this to happen. That $27,000 is what I call a black hole, because what's happening now is on average, it's costing $15,000 to $45,000 to get started for the first 6 months. And then you have your brokers and shippers that are on the load board that will not accept you unless you've been active or your authority has aged for at least 6 months. And I always like to use Amazon, for example, because we all know and like Amazon, but Amazon's requirement is that you've been active for at least 6 months. So imagine you have a $27,000 expense, and then you have a company like Amazon, which all the other brokers and shippers are following right behind them, is not willing to work with you. And then what it leads to is you tapping into your savings and creating a very high income or high expense for yourself without a guaranteed income. And so that's what I call a recipe for disaster, because it becomes lost money, wasted time, and a shattered dream. But we're going to bring you guys some hope. Anything you want to add to that, Daniel?
No, that all tracks. I mean, and like that range is very real for pretty much everybody, and it could even be more. Yeah.
Yep. So, like I said, there's a better way for owner operators to avoid this trap. So, but I really wanted to first paint the picture of what's happening, so that you guys could have a true understanding. Because again, this math, that was just some basic math. We didn't add anything else to it. And as you can see, how you can easily get up to 15 to 45K of expenses. So let's get into the positive news. All right. So your top new owner operators, here's what they are doing. All right. So your new owner operators, they're avoiding, right? They're avoiding an unaffordable truck payment without knowing where their income is coming from. And again, everyone's story is different. Some people do know where they're going to be getting their loads from. They have these relationships that they built. Would you agree, Daniel? Like they have these relationships that they built. They know exactly where they're going and how they're going to get started. And that's different. But if you don't know where you're going to get started, I would say the top new owner operators, what they're doing is making sure that they're avoiding the unaffordable truck insurance payment without knowing where their income is coming from. And then they are paying as low as $200 to $600 a month towards insurance, which we're going to get into how that is happening.
Yes.
So how to avoid the trap and get started the smart way. Daniel, I'm going to let you take it away, but we're going to talk about the 1, 2, 3 steps for aging your authority.
Awesome. All right. So first off, when you apply for your authority, and you might be watching this and you've already applied, but if you haven't applied yet, let me back up. If you have applied, there's ways to edit the application. But if you haven't applied yet, when you first fill out your application for your motor carrier authority, we can set that up so that the required insurance limit with the FMCSA is only $300,000, right? So your insurance policy that you initially start will only be at a $300,000 limit, and that's all you'll get is auto liability. You don't need anything else, because for this period that we're going to do this, you won't actually be operating. This is just to get time on your authority as cheap as possible, right? So yeah, first step is the application, either starting off with the 300K limit or going back and editing it so that it can show the 300K limit. And that's something that Jamie can help everyone out with. It's not too complicated, but it's easy to select the wrong things, because the FMCSA application is really confusing to begin with, right? The way they word the questions, it's a little misleading at times. But yeah, that's the first step.
And a mistake on your application can lead to a delay of anywhere between 30 to 60 days. So
yeah, delays. And then also, depending on what you select, it might make you ineligible for certain insurance markets. Like there's the other part is you could select something on there. You don't know that it's going to affect you today, tomorrow, or a month from now. You find out 6 months to a year from now, or when your first insurance renewal comes up, and then you've got some serious problems. It can punish you if it's not set up right, and you don't know right away.
Awesome.
Yep. So what we do is we take your personal vehicle and we list that on the policy, right? Because essentially, to get the $300,000 limit requirement with the FMCSA, you have to have a vehicle that's under 10,000 pounds GVW, right? So we're not putting big trucks on here, putting a smaller, lesser, or lower weight class vehicle, basically as a temporary like placeholder on this policy. We go back later once you're ready to go operational, and then get you the actual limits and coverages that you need. But for the time that you're aging the authority, you're going to have like your personal vehicle on there. And here's the thing. You could drop your personal auto insurance, but you never, ever want personal auto claims on a commercial policy. Commercial policies are way less forgiving when it comes to claims than a personal policy would be. So you're not going to drop your personal insurance. You're going to keep that in place, right? Because also it's just auto liability for this commercial policy. There's no comp and collision on here. So we put your personal vehicle on there. It qualifies for the lower limit. Policy gets started, authority goes active, and that thing's aging until you're ready to go operational. And yeah, these rates can be pretty darn cheap, right? So 200 to 600, like 600 is definitely on the high end. I see a lot of these around $200-300. And that's it. I mean, you could keep working your current job. You could be leased on to someone else. Everyone's scenario is going to be a little bit different, but going this route, and let's say $200 over 3 months to hit the 90-day mark for a bunch of brokers, right? That's $600 to age for 90 days. And then it's going to be so much easier to book loads and go wherever you need to, right? Versus going out there day one and there's only a few brokers that's going to work with you, and you're going to get stuck somewhere, have to wait over a weekend, miss family time, miss being home, whatever. And for, like this is the way to do it. This is how I started mine. This is, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, perfect. And how soon did you start after you?
It was like 6 months. Yep. It's right at 6 months. Yeah. Yeah. If anyone has questions too, throw those in the comments. We're gonna do a little Q&A at the end, but at least that way they're posted and we'll go back through them so nobody forgets. Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so so those were basically what we just showed you was how to age your authority, right, without spending $15,000 to $45,000 towards this huge startup expense, and without knowing where your loads are coming from, because you guys have to really understand and know where your loads are coming from. If we use Amazon, for example, again, if you were to age your authority for that first 6 months, after that 6 months, after you bypass that 6 months, you can take on a contract with a company like Amazon. So, and you didn't purchase a truck to do it, and you didn't spend $27,000 in order to do so. Yeah. Okay. So
really lowering your risk here, which is super important for new business, like any type of new business. Like the goal is to make money, but the second goal is to make sure you don't fail, right? Like you got to stay in business. So like our thing is always get on the road, stay on the road, right? That's what we want.
And the other thing I find is that even those that decide to go the route of aging the authority, they get very impatient. Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but within 2 to 3 months, they're like, oh, Jamie, I need to get started. Like, we need to get this business rolling. But I'm like, I'm telling you, wait it out and see what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
So try to be patient in the process is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. The other thing I'd mention real quick is, so understanding the regulatory side with the FMCSA and understanding the insurance is like, not everyone has that skill set, right? So someone like Jamie or myself has been doing this a while, and we understand how all this works. You don't want to call an 800 number to get a policy, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. There's a few big insurance companies that work with agents and then also sell directly. I'm just saying you should find someone who knows what they're talking about and has a lot of experience in it, not someone who works in a call center and just got hired last week and probably won't be there next week.
For sure. Awesome. All right. So I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about us for those especially who want to get started with aging the authority. So we do take a comprehensive approach with our clients, or I should say a consultative approach, and trying to really understand your game plan. We are a 5-star rated company. Both Daniel and I are both 5-star rated. So our compliance program, we offer helping you with forming your game plan, your business game plan, right? Helping you with being able to answer those 2 questions we discussed in the beginning. It also includes trying to get you guys the most competitive insurance quote, and then portal and back end office support, which we really didn't talk about, but that after aging your authority, the next phase that's really important is the compliance side of things, safety, and making sure that you guys remain organized. So being a part of our program does include having a safety compliance portal, and then that back end office support that you guys really need so you can focus on your trucking business while we focus on the organizational and admin side of things. Right, so getting your authority set up for new owner operators. If you're a non-CDL, you're typically only going to need an EIN. Everyone needs an EIN LLC, and then your DOT, MC, your BOC3, an insurance quote, your UCR registration and driver qualification files. If you're a CDL driver, then you have more requirements, right? So that would be IFTA and IRP, the 2290 heavy use tax, your drug and alcohol consortium, the clearinghouse registration, and state permits for crossing certain state lines. If we're going through the process of aging the authority, after 6 months, we would transition you from the aging your authority to being fully operational, where we basically are transitioning from your personal vehicle to your truck, your actual truck. And from there, we also have driver onboarding, which would include all these things that you see on the screen, any random drug tests, your med card that you need to have on file, any verification of employment, all of that is included. We basically take like driver onboarding off your hands. That's included with being a part of our program. And then we also provide you ongoing support and monitoring, which includes making sure you're passing your new entrance audit, right? Developing a positive CSA score. Some of you guys know about the CSA score, some of you don't. If you don't, you need to look into it, because this is, again,
that's another one that'll come back to bite you if you don't know what's going on there. Nothing will happen at first. You'll be like, oh, well, out of sight, out of mind. And then come insurance renewal time, like 10 months after you get started, and you're shopping around for insurance, it's going to be ugly. You have no options.
Yep. Oh, somebody put in the comments, yeah, I know about that. So if you know about it, you know how it affects you, right? So the next thing after passing your new entrance audit, right, is that CSA score. We have to make sure that we're developing it in a positive way. Why? Because you have brokers and shippers that are looking at that score. It's basically like a credit score in the trucking business. That's what I call it. You have brokers and shippers looking at that score to determine whether or not they're going to be willing to work with you. And then you have insurance companies looking at that as well to determine your renewal premium. So you really want to make sure that you're understanding your CSA score. We're not going to dive deep into that, but working with us, we make sure you understand what that is. And then again, we help make sure that you're developing it in a positive way. Right. So that would also include monthly safety checkups and then ELD and compliance monitoring.
Yep. And I'll just add something here. Like finding an agent that knows about trucking, right, and understands the regulations is really important. Finding someone like Jamie who also does the ongoing support monitoring with the compliance, everything around DOT services, like that's a home run, right? Because you got pretty much a one-stop shop for everything that's like out of your control. You can't control insurance, right? You can do things to influence it, but you can't control it. And you're not going to tell the FMCSA what to do. I promise that. So like you need guidance, right? You need someone to support you on that.
Yep, for sure. So we're actually going to do a little Q&A. But prior to that, I just wanted to mention that I do have strategy sessions open. And so I'd love to be able to talk to you guys and set up 15, 20 minutes to kind of see where you're at in the process and help you guys work through that. So you guys can either take a picture of this QR code, or I'll drop the actual link in the comments section. So you guys can actually hop on my calendar and we can kind of discuss where you're at and how I can assist you. But in the meantime, I'll keep this open. I do see some people in the comments section asking questions, so I want to make sure that I get to you guys. All right, so we have T here. Okay, so T, it says, I'm looking for a reliable and affordable insurance agent for my 26-foot box truck. Okay, I'll be reaching out. Okay, so you know how to reach us if you need to reach us. Again, you can
You're in the right spot.
exactly. I need to drop the link in the comment section before I forget. Hold on, I just have so much going on. But while we do that, let me see if I can get to the next question. Are you able to rent a box truck, lease on to someone else's authority, and run Amazon loads and utilize the strategy for the first 6 months?
That one's complicated. If you're renting the truck and leasing on to someone else, here's the thing. Everyone gets this mixed up, right? When you lease on to another motor carrier, you're owner-operator without authority right now, with or without authority. That part doesn't matter. But you're leasing on, you're going to run loads under this other MC. You, the driver, and your truck have to be listed on their auto liability and cargo at a minimum, right? Like they might have additional coverages you have to be scheduled on, but you have to be, like, no matter what, you have to be scheduled on the auto liability and cargo, right? And like, it's easy to get this wrong. Tons of people get this wrong. A lot of people think you can have your own insurance and you don't have to get added to theirs, right? That's very, very false. If something happens, there's a claim around an accident or something happens to the cargo, you'll learn how false that is super fast, right? So, and when you have a rental truck, right, the rental company, if you or your entity is renting the truck, that the rental company wants to see primary auto liability, like regular commercial auto liability, not non-trucking liability, which you might have if you owned a truck and lease onto someone else's authority. It's not impossible, but you end up in a scenario where you have double coverage on that truck. It's something we could talk about. I would definitely schedule a call and talk that through, but it's possible. It's not the easiest thing. If you own the truck and lease onto someone else, then it's much more doable, because there's different ways to do it. A lot of ways to skin this cat, but we can provide the guidance on all that.
Yeah, they would have to make sure that the insurance is underneath that. The person's authority that you're leased onto would be the one that would be covering that truck. But as Daniel said, yeah, you have to make sure that you're that one's a little more involved. So you want to make sure that you hop in a strategy session and we can kind of discuss that one with you, Tashe. Samuel, does the non-CDL driver need to use the ELD?
I'll take that one. CDL doesn't make a difference. The weight class does. Weight class, and so like there's the ELD rules, right? And the ELD rule exceptions. The only exception anyone should be worried about, probably on this call, unless anyone here does like agricultural hauling, that's a different exception. But the main exception I'm looking at here is you start and stop at the same location every day. So you'd be doing like really local hauling, okay? And you're not exceeding 150 miles. Air miles is the rule, but like, so it's as the bird flies A to B. So it's typically 150 air miles is normally more than road miles. But yeah, you're getting in your car at home, you go, or your truck at home, you leave home, you come back the same day, and you don't go more than 150 miles. You don't have to have an ELD if you do that. Doesn't matter if you have a CDL, doesn't matter what weight class your vehicle is, any of that, no ELD requirement. If you are over 10,000 pounds and you go beyond 150 miles and you don't come home every day, or you still could, but you don't, like, the main thing is if your vehicle's over 10,000 pounds, the GVW is over 10,000 pounds, you got to have an ELD. And the way insurance is going, even if you're not required by the government to have an ELD, you should still get one, because once you've been in business for over a year or two, depends on which insurance company, if you do have ELD data to share, the rates like cut by 20 to 80%. I've seen some crazy stuff. Like I've seen rates so cheap, going from year 2 to 3 on some companies that like their down payment is close to what their previous annual premium was. So you better use it. I'm telling you guys, every insurance company is adopting ELD data in their underwriting models. So use it correctly, because they're going to plug into it. They're going to have you, it's just a sign in thing with all these, when you go to quote, and it's well worth it. Don't speed too much. They're not digging in too crazy, and they're not like watching you, but they just want to know that you're a safe driver. And if you want to be a successful trucker, you gotta be safe somewhat.
And I'm going to look from the perspective of helping you guys when it comes to launch, like growing and scaling, right? So imagine you have 3, 4, 5 trucks on the road. You want to be able to manage your drivers in a certain way. And having an ELD in every truck is one of the ways that we can manage drivers and make sure they're doing the right thing, right? So it's just beneficial in so many different ways to have an ELD in your trucks. Okay, we have Clifton, who is asking, what is a CSA score? Which,
that's your safety scores. There's a lot that goes into it, and the way that each category is weighted. That's best approached individually when we're talking about how to like improve a score normally, right? So the majority of the time, like if you're not gonna go by the book and pass every inspection you get to, right? Like making sure you do your pre-trip inspections. If anything's not kosher, you don't run. You're gonna fail some inspections, and then it becomes an issue with like, how do I fix this before the FMCSA puts me out of business or before insurance puts me out of business? We'll look at like what violations you have, and then so it's a matter of time since you've had that violation or those violations, if it's plural, and which category, because they're all weighted kind of differently. But mainly just, are you passing inspections or not?
Because as I mentioned before, not passing inspections and developing a negative CSA score, again, affects you in different ways. So,
and it can hurt you with the brokers too. There's a lot of brokers that will actually check that, and not as many as you'd think, probably not as many as they should. I see a lot of bad scores because it's one of those things where, you fail an inspection, you don't owe anything to that guy at the scales or anything. Or if you're getting pulled over, there's no immediate effect. Like, you're just going to continue on most of the time and go deliver your load. So it tends to become forgotten. And that part's not good.
Yep.
Something you really got to stay on top of.
Okay, so Clifton says, I have a flatbed with a truck hoping to run hot shots. Yes, it can be done. I have been in business, Brandon here. I have been in business for 2 years. I need help on getting cheaper insurance. Again, you have Daniel and I here. Both of us are licensed agents. And again, feel free to click on that QR code or the link, which I dropped in the comments, in order to book a session. And then we can go over your insurance on that call. James, is it more complicated to get started with dump trucks than your regular tractors?
Is it more complicated
to get started?
Regulatory wise, it's pretty much the same because of weight class and all the requirements around CDLs. I would say it's probably more difficult with tractors if you're going long haul, because then there could be a lot more permitting you need to worry about. I mean, not a lot more, but depends on what state you're in and where you plan on going. Dump trucks being more local operations, like I'd say it's a little bit easier, and then
probably not facing as many audits.
Yeah, or complications with time in business or time in authority. So time in business is one thing. Like, you could file your LLC 6 years ago. No one really cares. What they're looking at is how long has your authority been active. So that's, putting that out there. But yeah, dump trucks aren't normally working off of load boards. So yeah, you'd have a little bit more, less roadblocks with the dump trucks.
I think
as long
so.
as you're in an area that needs construction.
I agree. Okay. Jocelyn, I have a truck already. Can you help me find someone else to run under? What kind of truck?
Yeah, putting you up to lease onto another motor carrier. I've thought about putting like a board, like a job board type of thing out there, but I haven't ever gotten around to it. Jamie, that might be a good idea for us to work on.
Mm-hmm. So I haven't really discussed it much, but we're working on setting something up to help certain truck operations with getting access to brokers and shippers, even for the newer owner operators, but that's not fleshed out yet. I don't foresee that being fleshed out for like the next probably 3 to 6 months. So
nice.
I'll keep my list of people in my email blast. I'll send you guys an email blast when that's all fleshed out. And Daniel, I'll talk more about that with you as well.
Cool. Okay. We'll have to do another webinar.
I know. Okay.
Yep.
So, Clifton, I have a CDL and med card active since 2009. That's Great good. Job. We gotta use. I hope you're using it in a positive way.
That's good. That's good. Longer you have CDL, normally the cheaper the insurance.
Correct. That does help. Yep, for sure.
Oh, and the MVR. Yeah, I saw the last message Clifton just posted about no tickets or accidents. That is so important. One thing people get, like misinformation around is, oh, it was in my personal car. It doesn't count because we're talking about commercial insurance. If it's on your MVR, it counts. Unless it's really old. Like some insurance companies only look back like 3 years. Some will look back 5 years. But yeah, you don't want anything accident ticket wise, if possible. Always get an attorney. Okay. Some states allow things to get deleted. We'll call it that. Make that happen if you can. Like, if not, you'll pay way more in insurance or it just won't be feasible for you. Like it won't make business sense.
Yep. Or they'll say, oh, that was like 3 or 4 years ago. Like I had that accident 3 or 4 years ago. You have carriers looking as far back as 5 years to determine your insurance rates. So you want to try to keep your record as clean as possible.
Yep.
All right. I think, did we answer everything?
Hold on. There was, can I haul a load with a temporary license plate in Texas? I just applied for a portion plates. So while it's on procession, can I transport loads within Texas? I think so.
Yeah, you can. If you have a temporary license plate, then
yeah, you should be fine.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, just keep any documentation in the truck. I would just do that in case you get pulled or inspected.
Correct.
Yep.
Which you should have pretty much all your documentation in your truck at all times. So I see. Okay, one more question, and then I think we're going to wrap it up here. Where is the best resource? Where is the best resource to obtain an LLC and EIN at a reasonable price? Right here. The QR code. I help you guys from A to Z. When it comes to setting up, getting your EIN and your LLC, I help with that as well. So if you need assistance with that, I can most definitely help you with that. Again, just book a strategy session. You can either, I just dropped the link, but I'll drop it again in the comments section. And then you can book a call and we can discuss setting you up, okay?
Cool. We did have one more come in there. Horace Banks. Question, has been hard trying to stay in business. Insurance is killing me. Agent gave me his information, telling policy was one price. Sounds like it was one price to start, and then it went up after that. I see that a lot. We get a lot of calls about that.
Yeah.
Best thing to do is scan that QR code, scan the QR code, or click one of those links. Let's talk.
Yeah, we would need more information on that. And that is why Daniel also mentioned that you don't want to just get insurance from anyone, because you do have a lot of agents, and I really don't like to bash any other company, but you do have agents out there that are setting up your insurance policy one way just so that they can give you the cheapest rate or take off $200-300 off of the insurance compared to the other agent that gave you a quote just to win your business. However, this is what's happening, right? A month, 2-3 months later, your insurance premiums are changing because there's agents out there that's not doing the right thing.
They're not doing the right thing, or, pretty much every agent out there has access to Progressive, right? And Progressive writes 70 to 90% of new ventures in any given state, right? Just because they can do it doesn't mean they should do it, right? Progressive doesn't really limit independent agents from being able to quote anything in the commercial sector. So you might get somebody who you happen to talk to and they're like, oh yeah, I have the ability to write trucking. I don't know anything about it. They might not tell you that, but they're like, yeah, I can write this. So you got two things. You might be dealing with someone that just doesn't know or understand trucking. And then you also have people that are just trying to win your business and lock you in, because unlike personal auto, commercial policies, especially trucking, when it's regulated, right? You're crossing state lines, you're always going to be in the regulated space. It's not easy to just cancel that policy. You're paying a big down payment that won't get refunded immediately because of the federal filings. The FMCSA puts regulations on the insurance company too, not just you. The insurance company is literally not even allowed to cancel the policy until you find new coverage. So that means 2 down payments, right? You paid 1 down payment for the first policy that can't be canceled until you put a down payment on the next policy, or you revoke your authority and start all over. So it's not fun. It's really important to start off on the right foot. We got one more and then we'll wrap it up. What do you say?
Okay.
Is there an age limit or years of activity requirement when adding a driver to your insurance policy for non-CDL box trucks? Is there an age limit? Like an age limit of the driver? The drivers, I would say, like, just a rule of thumb, right? You can't cross, well, actually, regulation rule, right? You got to be 21 to cross state lines for hire. If they're not crossing state lines, they can be under 21. Found out that the hard way early on doing trucking insurance. I had a guy that was like 20. He was like a week away and he got pulled over in Pennsylvania. He's like, you didn't tell me I have to be 21. I was like, I didn't know. Hey, we've all been there. Yeah, got to be 21. But for insurance, most insurance companies want you to be like over 23 or else the rates might be crazy. But more ideally over 30. Like once you're over 30, and you don't have a bad MVR, you can get some much more ideal rates. And then years of activity for non-CDL normally doesn't really matter. There's some insurance companies out there that might ask for like a resume. So if you're over 10,000 pounds GVW on the equipment, they might want to know that you've been driving box trucks or hot shots in the past and see like a resume for that driver, which is something you should also have on file for record keeping with the FMCSA, because that's one thing they'll definitely go through is your driver qualification files. Yep, you always got to pull. Well, that's something Jamie could talk to you about on keeping up with drivers. But yep, yep. That's pretty much it for non-CDL. When you're in the CDL space, for a lot of insurance companies, you need at least 2 years of CDL experience for any driver.
You were about to go into the driver qualification file?
Yeah, I don't want to go too deep into that. That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. He's asking about insurance, but yes, for every driver, just to add to it, for every driver that you do add on board, you need to have a driver qualification file for them. And that's a ton of paperwork that is just basically required to have on file for your driver.
Cool.
Ayana Tillman. Ayana is actually a client of mine who aged. We started the process of aging the authority, I believe. We work together. So, hey, Ayana. Okay, so the only last thing that I want to say is I just want to go through this really quick to show you guys how to hop on the link and book a session. I just need to let me stop my screen really quick. I feel like I just saw another comment come in. Another question, no? All right, I was going to show you guys how to actually book, but I'm having trouble finding the link. All right, I found it. All right, so when you guys click on the link, pretty much this is the page that you're gonna land on. There is gonna be a button here that says book a call with Jamie. And then you would just choose whichever date, let's say September 10th. The times should appear for you. You can just hop on, choose one of these time slots, hit select, input your information, make sure that you're answering if you have a motor carrier authority or not, whether you currently have a LLC set up or not, and then what's your biggest concern about becoming an owner operator, to make sure that we focus on that on our call, and then hit I agree and schedule the meeting. At that point, you would get an email and text basically saying that your strategy session is booked, and then I will call you at that scheduled time. Okay. So I think that is it for now. Daniel, did you want to add anything else before we leave?
No, that's it. It's been a great session. I think we should do
think
another
so.
one of these soon.
If you guys learned something, can I get a thumbs up in the comment section? Or if you got some sort of value, can I get a thumbs up or a yes, I did? This is going to encourage me to do more of these, you guys. So I need some encouragement. Oh, man. Let's see. Great information. Thank you. Awesome.
Good deal.
Thumbs up. Okay, good. Good. All right, you guys. So I hope to speak to some of you guys. I hope I see some names here. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Samuel, Harold, James. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Clifton, good. I will book. Awesome. So I'll remember those names and I'll be on the lookout for those names. So if there's nothing else, we are done.
Awesome.
You guys have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for attending.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jamie.
All right.
See you later.
Bye.